Hello, Galaxy. Chris Perillo here. I set up this impromptu live stream because I feel it's important to talk about today, if only to get the message out to other creators, other streamers, my peers, not necessarily my audience or people who have followed me, just to follow me. Well, I guess to a certain degree, yes, to anybody who's ever followed me. This morning, this is somewhat of a baffling turn of events, but this morning, Twitter posted a policy, and it's public. This is a new policy as of right now that seems to be setting the stage for what may very well turn out to be the siloification of Twitter as a platform. Things are changing. And if you use Twitter to promote anything you do off of Twitter, pay attention. That means if you link out to Instagram, can't do that anymore. It means if you link out to Facebook, can't do that anymore. That means if you link out to Twitch, there's a possibility that at some point in the future, you won't be able to do that anymore. If you link out to YouTube, that could also be on the chopping block. That's the thing. Today's policy is a canary in the coal mine. Now, I've been worried about Twitter before, and I've talked about Mastodon, before today, but I don't think it's ever been more important to set up shop elsewhere, because there's enough of a threat with alternative platforms to Twitter that Twitter is basically saying no more, can't do it anymore. And you know what? That's Twitter's prerogative. It's on them. It's a private company. Free speech doesn't apply there, despite what they try to tell you. That's not how free speech works. There has now been, and I'll read the policy directly as posted. When I first heard about it, this change, this thing that seems to be barreling down at us, has me reframing what I consider Twitter to be. Now, up until this point, I considered Twitter as a part of social media. I don't think Twitter is a part of social media anymore. With this change, and that's not to say it's not their prerogative. I mean, there's been fighting that's happened on the back end, like cutting off API access, cutting off the way links get embedded, et cetera, et cetera. Even diminishing, acceleration of, if you post a link, let's say on Facebook, Facebook still lets you publish it, but they'll diminish the acceleration through their algorithm. But you can still do it, right? Twitter had marked previously over the past few days Mastodon social links, or at least the ones that were clearly Mastodon social links, as malware. So something's a threat when you're keeping or trying to keep your users in your ecosystem. So Twitter's taking a walled garden approach. And so, like I said, it's a matter of time before this happens to your favorite platform. Whatever that happens with me, you may be thinking, well, Chris, they're not saying that about Twitch. They're not saying that about YouTube. They're not saying that about TikTok or my favorite app. It's a matter of time. This is the blue canary in the coal mine, people. I've been bullish on Mastodon. Bullish. For all the aforementioned reasons in other videos. No ads, no tracking, no algorithm. You can take your social graph with you wherever you go. And you can't sit there and whine and tell me it's difficult to use. There's growing pains, certainly, but it's no more difficult to use than Twitter might have been for you in the very beginning. Once you get into it, took me maybe an hour or two to figure it out. Not that big of a deal. And if you ever lived through the era of trumpet windsock connecting to the internet by way of dial-up, you cannot sit there and tell me that Mastodon is tricky, because it isn't. Yes, it's experiencing growing pains. It's not a centralized platform. You can join any instance. That's probably where you're getting hung up, if anywhere. You've got to choose an instance that you feel is most viable for you to join. But the thing is if you join an instance, you can easily migrate to another if you find another instance is better off for your needs. Okay? So I'm saying that. I'll put a link to at least the standing invite URL that I've shared for Mastodon to this point. I'll put that link in the video description. Well, my recommendation right now is, yes, follow me wherever you want, but don't necessarily expect that Twitter is going to be the place that I'm paying most attention to anymore. Mastodon's where I'm spending most of my time in social media. Most of my time. Not going to say all, but here's the policy. As of today, reading directly from the webpage, Twitter is where the public conversation is happening, that's according to them, and where people from all over the globe come to promote their businesses, art, ideas, and more. This is what they say. We know that many of our users may be active on other social media platforms. However, going forward, Twitter will no longer allow free promotion of specific social media platforms on Twitter. So they're sitting there saying and admitting, well, we know you do it, but we don't want you to do it in this way. And this is a policy that can change on a dime. They don't say that, but absolutely. This is a policy that can change on a dime. You're ignorant if you don't believe that this could happen to your favorite social platform. Ignorant. Because this, again, is just a way for them to say, boom. No, Dutch Universe, you're not allowed to cross-post to other platforms. You're allowed to cross-post from other platforms. There's a difference. Read the language. Be very clear. Let's be very clear about this. It's their prerogative. But what I'm telling you is this is a very creative, hostile change. And let me explain why. This may not impact you. If you're just, I just use Twitter, fart around and share memes and stuff. Great. Knock yourself out. This impacts creators who rely on a multitude of social platforms to stay connected. Because here are the published platforms: Facebook, Instagram, currently, Mastodon, Truth Social, Tribal, Post, and Nostr. That's what they've chosen today. Then this is where this is where it's a slap across the face of any creator. Third-party social media link aggregators such as Linktree or Linkbio, and I've used Linkbio, and I just started using it like a few weeks ago. It's kind of funny. Do you know how many creators use Linktree? How many creators do you... Go ahead, look in your average creator's favorite profile or their social profile, whether it's on Instagram, Twitter, where look at their bio, look at their link. I'm guessing that a fair amount of your favorite creators use Linktree because you can only have one link in your bio. You feel me? Hey, it's their prerogative. What I'm saying is that Twitter's become a very creator hostile environment with these changes and with likely more changes coming down the pike. Hey, you want to play in that game? Play in the game. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what I plan on doing. Plan on staying active, sure, using it, kind of, but no longer like I used to. I've moved on to Mastodon. I have. That's where I've been active. I can show you like on my, well, here. What's the best way to what's the best way to show? The digital. Let's see if I can pull up digital well-being. Because I was gonna forget it. I was gonna show you that I'm spending more time in Tusky, a Mastodon app, than I am on Twitter. So my behavior has already changed, and with this, I'm guessing other people's behaviors will have changed as well. So, like I said, it's their prerogative. Not faulting them for their business plan at all. You know, they can do with it what they want. But you know what? I can do with what I want to do what I want. Does that make sense? And creators, people who make things for you, who do things for you, who put themselves out there and provide things that you might enjoy, are sitting up and paying attention. They're going, oh, well, this kind of changes things. All right. Good to know. So Twitter's changes in policy, this specific change, hang on, Liz, I can't, give me a second. Liz, hang on. I am live right now. So hang on. She wants me to multitask. Give me a second. Welcome to MakerDeck. Stop! Leave me alone! Leave me alone. Let me get back to this. Let me make sure something went out properly. think that went out. Yeah, okay, that went out. I sent a DM to Epos Vox because he's also been on the edge. Quinn Nelson last night decided to jump off of Twitter as well. She wants to give her Twitter. No, she wants me to watch MakerDeck. I'm watching MakerDeck right now, so I'm basically multitasking. You can only do so many things at one time. Do I own a Tesla though? Hell no. You haven't been paying attention very well, have you, Dutch Universe? I don't want a Tesla. Didn't want a Tesla before now. No, thank you. Quality control, not exactly where I think it needs to be for cars, but that's just me. Yeah. I'm disappointed with these changes. It's clear that, as Elon has suggested in public, he wants to turn it into WeChat. It's his prerogative. I'm not sure I'm as interested in that for a lot. Let me try to frame it differently. It's not that I'm not interested in something like that. It's the way that I used Twitter. And honestly, certainly not in recent months, I wasn't really using Twitter to promote. We have used Twitter for MakerDeck to promote what we were doing on Twitch. Like tonight, we're doing 3D printer giveaways on Twitch. So we've used Twitter to promote on Twitch, or to promote Twitch. But it's just a matter of time before that changes. But my own patterns, my own habits, the way I connect to Twitter is for the aforementioned, the theoretical, this is the public conversation. That's what I see shifting. That's what I have seen just in being active on Mastodon. Mastodon has very quickly replaced that need for Twitter for me. It's largely because I feel that we're coming close to a tipping point, if not having already passed it. So I'm not trying to take away from what they want to do. It's just what they want to do isn't necessarily why I wanted to use Twitter. Does that make sense? And that is not necessarily under the umbrella of promotional opportunities. Certainly it's helpful. Like, when you've got someone who watches you or follows you on one platform, to let them know something else is happening there. For years I would tell people, don't post links to, I told people, don't post links to Instagram to a photo. Upload that photo natively. If you have a video that could be, like a short video, like a TikTok, upload it natively. You'll notice, like when I post my dad jokes on Twitter, they're native. Like I upload them to TikTok too natively, but like, bam, it's not that difficult to post something natively. So my concern isn't, this, because I haven't been using it the way that I think they're trying to have people make people use it, right? It's that these policies are not even set to be globally reinforced, meaning that enforcement could be very well just as capricious as a policy change. May, these big words, may, as though it was up in the, if you could do it, but you may be you may, not necessarily you will, just a you may. And that's what's concerning. Like when you're not given clear guidelines and expectations, you don't know which way to go. So the best game, the only way to win is not to play. Wasn't that a quote from War Games? Can anybody remember? What's the quote from War Games? The only way to win is not to play. I know I'm paraphrasing Whopper here. That was the computer's name, right? Well, okay, Toon Geek, here's the thing. This is where you're incorrect. There is no owner of Mastodon. So let me give you a little education. Nobody owns the open source platforms, right? It's open source for a reason. Nobody owns. There is no John Mastodon. There is no Elon Musk of Mastodon, right? There is no Mark Zuckerberg of Mastodon. There is none. That person does not exist. It's open source. It's an open platform. It's not centralized. It is in many ways sports similar features to Twitter, but is operated entirely different. Entirely. And that's where, again, I've slowly changed my patterns and my behaviors and reset my expectations and have found, honestly, to be feel just as connected to others on Mastodon as I might have been on Twitter. And so that's, that's where I kind of, I guess, where I feel, me personally, where I've put Twitter. I've now put Twitter in a different bucket. I don't know if I could consider Twitter social media for me. Just like I'm going to be fair, just like I don't view Facebook as social media for me. I use it mostly for marketplace and connecting with Star Wars groups. But it's not where I go to have conversations, right? I don't do that for Facebook. Instagram, I'm still kind of messing around with. TikTok, yeah, I'm kind of messing around with, I'm not sure that's necessarily my stomping grounds. I needed a place where I felt like what I put out there would be received. One of the reasons I still continue the email newsletter, and I just sent out an emergency bulletin saying, oh my God, Twitter changes, here we go. So glad I still have people subscribing to the Substack. 20,000 people, a great way of directly connecting to them. I have a want, need, and desire to see what's to watch what's going on, to follow the conversation. And that's where I said, with these changes on Twitter, I knew something could happen and I'd have to find kind of a backup. Well, now my backup is Twitter. Does that make sense? It's kind of, they've kind of swapped spots. So I've put Twitter in a different bucket. It's in a completely different bucket. Like, all right, that's where you are. Just like Facebook is in a different bucket. Just like, what else might be? Well, I don't use Snapchat anymore. That's off. That's done. It's like, it's not for me. I'm like, I'm not going to, Mastodon has become my Twitter. I also miss Google Plus tremendously. In fact, I messaged one of the product managers for Google Plus. I'm like, and he's like, I'm like, that was paraphrasing of the conversation, because I loved Google Plus, loved it. The problem with Google Plus wasn't its feature set, wasn't even necessarily the people that were there. You might remember I had a problem with the Android community back then because they gatekeeped and they weren't very transparent and they didn't provide viable feedback to improve the platform. That's not a community. A community is a group of people come together, common goal, common cause, sense of belonging, but they don't also see that community or that interest as impervious to feedback and criticism. Okay, so FYI, the problem with Google Plus is that they pushed it on people. Like, you had a Google account, boom, you got Google Plus. Well, that's not how social networks work at all. So shrug emoji, Google Plus died. Thank you, Farmer. I'm seeing the comments here. I should probably pull them into to the chat since I'm using StreamYard here. I agree. It was sad. Hey, the Midnight Smith, thank you. And actually, the Midnight Smith, I have been a lot of people in the 3D printing greater community use Twitter, and I'm like, what can I do to help the greater 3D printing community recognize that Mastodon is open source? Like, I know the 3D printing community is all about open source. Mastodon is open source. What am I missing here? What am I missing? What am I the only person who does not see this? Like, I don't get it. I don't get why. I mean, open source is great. Love it. When it's practical, when it's approachable. And Mastodon, this open source project, not this monolithic centralized platform like you've been accustomed to, like you've been browbeaten to believing what social media is. It's different. That in many ways it has confused people, right? They don't understand. It's not as they're like, what does it mean? What do you mean join an instance? What does that mean? Pick an instance. I don't understand. Once you get over that hump, once you get over that hurdle, you're like, oh, I get it now. I get it. It's not a heavy lift, people. It is not a heavy lift. In terms of helmets, I haven't printed a lot of helmets, so I can't speak to that. I'll let another person. I know Galactic Armory has been used by many people before, although I don't have any connection to the guy, unfortunately. So anyway, this policy change specifically, forget the Facebook, Instagram, Mastodon thing. Fine, that's usually when a platform starts to make moves to keep you from moving to other platforms, they're the ones who are losing. Usually, it's not always the case. It's the third-party social media link aggregators such as Linktree or LinkBio. That is the concern. And you can't get around it either. You can't even post your Mastodon.social handle or your Mastodon, whatever it happens to be, your website handle. You can't circumvent it by not hyperlinking. They do they'll allow paid advertisement or promotion of any of the prohibited social media platforms. So you can pay to promote. That makes sense. That's on them. It's their prerogative. I'm not sure that makes sense to me, but subsector, what can I do? Subsector, what can I do to help you? I'm asking you right now, subsector, what can I do to help you better understand it? Happy to jump on a call. You can screen share and I can walk you through it. Very happy to do that with anybody, honestly, that is trying to get over that hump and that learning curve with the express understanding that you will help somebody else with it. That's, pay it forward. Because I believe, if only because the open source aspect of it, Midnight Smith, I think the 3D printing, the greater 3D printing community, and I use that term, it's nebulous, right? That they're not on Mastodon is a shock. Huge shock. So, just like Facebook isn't going away, right? You've got the people who love Facebook for all the reasons people use Facebook. Like I said, no one's telling you what to do. All I'm saying is that this is what it's done for me. This is what it's done to me. I'm not a victim, right? But like, its changes forced me to reconcile and recognize what it was I liked most about Twitter. I don't like Twitter because it's Twitter. I like Twitter because who's there. Well, a lot of my Star Wars people are gone. They're just gone. A lot of the alphas that I follow, like the people who actually know what the hell they're talking about, they're disappearing rapidly. They've moved on by and large to Mastodon. So I'm like, I was already there, so it's easy to follow there. It doesn't bother me to know that you want something different than me. Just like you might want a different smartphone. You might want a different, fandom, right? You love Star Trek more than Star Wars. Live long and prosper and all that. It's knowing that what's happening now is causing enough of a churn that without making any adjustments to my patterns, I'm running the risk of getting swept up in them and then going, wait a minute, this is not what I signed up for. Twitter is definitely not what I signed up for back in, what was it? I don't know, last decade? I mean, I think my Twitter account's like over a decade old. I didn't sign up for it in the 1900s. It wasn't around in the 1900s. Been enjoying IRC again. Well, actually, there's an eerie parallel. Now, I'm glad you brought that up, Scream Engine. I think I'd use Discord more than IRC, and certainly do. There was a Freenode went under a similar change of leadership, and engagement plummeted almost overnight. The parallels of what happened with Freenode basically dropping off the radar of everybody and what's happening on Twitter are eerily running in parallel. Like, it's so, yes, but if you want to bring up IRC, pay attention to what happened to Freenode, because that could very well be happening to Twitter. And even if it doesn't, it doesn't. Okay, great. It's like people, getting mad at Facebook. Oh, I'm going to quit Facebook. I'm like, tempest in a teapot. Like, I'm not saying quit. And no one's saying, I didn't say that. I didn't say quit. I just know the patterns that I have been adjusting to have certainly been fruitful. And so now I want to, help others on their journey if they're also wondering if there's a better way of doing it. And I believe there's a better way of doing it. If you like open source, If you hate ads, do you hate ads? Oh no, you're on YouTube. You love ads. You love watching all the ads. You don't? Oh, well, Mastodon doesn't have ads. You might like trackers. You like going to a website and being tracked and all that. I bet you love that. Twitter, hand in hand, I'm sure. Yeah, great. No, stay there. Stay there. That's fine. Oh, you don't like tracking? Well, Mastodon doesn't have tracking. Well, what about an algorithm? Shadow banning. You like that? You think that's good? There's a policy potentially coming down the pike, as mentioned by the new owner of Twitter. I think it was yesterday or the day before, suggesting that paid users can now effectively shadow ban. So it's a pay-to-play shadow ban. That's just great. That's just great. Oh, because $8 is so expensive. Oh my God, no one's going to be able to afford $8 a month to harm somebody else. Nobody would do that. Oh, so you don't like algorithms? Okay. Mastodon, no ads, no tracking, no algorithms, open source, direct connection. You can take your social graph with you even if you move instances. There's a lot of upside. To every downside, I would say there are two upsides. And Twitter every day just gets more and more precarious, I feel. I find myself wanting to view it less and less because even the timeline that I've pruned has been less interesting because all my Star Wars people are gone. They're just gone. They're not there anymore. They're not active anymore. And this just further pushes them away. So like the reason I go isn't because of the platform, it's because of the people. Does that make sense? Little Munchkin Cat has noted that they've been on Mastodon for a number of years now. It's awesome. My Mastodon account, I think I've linked properly on in the description, the video description. And if you don't have an invite, I'm just going to give you an invite to the big server, which is going to be it's getting crunched right now. Like right now, Mastodon is getting stomped with all the traffic, the influx. Every time there's a Twitter migration, Mastodon just gets crunched. And today is no exception. With this policy change, like, okay. So, I want to be able to answer questions. I want to have a dialogue. I want to tell you where I am, where I'm going, why I'm making the decisions I'm making, why you might want to make decisions for yourself. You don't have to. But this is important enough for me to talk about, if only to help you along. If you are interested, and I assume you are. If only because you use social media. So what else can I debunk? What else can I eliminate for you is for fear, uncertainty, and doubt? There we go. Jason left Twitter yesterday. A lot of people in my feed are doing that. Unfortunately, a lot of my Star Wars people did not come to Mastodon, which is really sad. It's depressing, honestly. I really wish most of my Star Wars people would come to Mastodon. I really do. In fact, I probably need to tweet that. Are any of my Star Wars people on the extinct mammal site too? There we go. I got to be very careful. I've got to be very careful because we can get in trouble now. Violations in this policy are an isolated incident or first offense. We may take a number of actions. Temporary suspension. You can, that's it. Like it. They've got a stranglehold on you. Is that what you want? Is that really what you want? With a social network or a social platform, do you want that threat constantly looming? Is that what you want? Is that what you want? It's up to you. I'm here to happily say I'm sitting on the other side. Water's been fine. You know what? I almost did a screenshot. I almost did a screenshot of my Mastodon profile header. Looked exactly like Twitter's, etc. And then I read it again. You can't even do that. You can't even screenshot your Mastodon handle. You can't. Because you may get suspended. So, yeah. As long as you block all the anime Mastodon is fine. See, I'm on a bigger server. I may change at some point in the future. I've even debated setting up Locker Gnome. I don't have the resources to do that, but setting up LockerGnome is an instance for people to join, making it easier to onboard all my old nerds and geeks, right? And then running our own instance. But I'm not a server operator, not a sysadmin, not anything like that. So yeah, this isn't about, I don't view this I don't view this as a difference in political opinions, because if only because I know, at least when I'm not caught up in extremist voices, I pay attention to current events. And so when I know that I've got my perspective, when I know that I feel like I've got everything I need to know to make a judgment call, I know which side of the aisle I might land on. So it's less about politics and more about recognizing my view of reality, while understanding, in a progressive way, by the way, that someone else has different experiences, even if they're radically different from mine. They have different perspectives, even if they're radically different from mine. This is where I usually draw the line. Like, I'm a big believer in accountability, response, that kind of thing. I'm accountable. I'm being accountable to myself. If your religion tells you not to do something, knock yourself out. But if your religion tells me not to do something, that's where I got a problem. You can abstract the word religion and insert the word politics. I mean, it's a gray area. There are a lot of gray areas. I'm a big believer in that kind of autonomy, but I'm also a big believer in supporting other people, right? I don't think it's a black or white issue. And unfortunately, in today's political climate, you can't just, it's not like not being in the middle of being indecisive, but it's like, oh, you don't like my leader, therefore you like that leader. I'm like, well, no, not necessarily, right? You don't like my side, therefore you're on the extreme. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, I do not fit in a box. That's the reason why YouTube doesn't like me. The algorithm hates me because I don't exist in a box. Why I like Mastodon. Mastodon, I can post something funny and then immediately turn around and post something serious about something else, and an algorithm doesn't hit me. Isn't that funny? Oh man. Neville Littlejohns, thank you very much. Neville, are you over on Mastodon? Have you made the move to Mastodon? Have you? Have you? Thank you, Neville. I do appreciate that. Can I tell creators who don't want to leave Twitter because they build up a community for years, they need to go to Mastodon? Yeah, actually, I'm staging. I actually want to do maybe a few broadcasts this week with people who made the move and why. Some people in the tech space. Epos Vox, I messaged him. Why not leave YouTube? Because why? It's just like, why would I leave Twitter? Just some people can, some people will, but it's like, well, it's there. Like, and I can still post things. I just can't post other things. I can still potentially stay connected, but use it differently. Just like I didn't leave Facebook. I never really left MySpace either. So it's not like I'm picking and choosing. I still also believe that there's still a chance for me to find my way on YouTube. And maybe I just got to wait it out. Maybe I got to figure out my way. I've even debated, I'm not joking, with the new year, doing something with TLDR on this channel. Not joking. Seriously. Like, I know a lot of people would get excited over that, if only to talk about the current events in technology, right? And right now, the big current event isn't an iPhone, right? It's something far more important. It's like the way you stay connected with other people. So that's the reason why. Boom. That is and this, by the way, the answer to this question is I'm answering Peter. I may not count on YouTube, but that doesn't mean I can't use it. Does that make sense? I don't know about new vlogs. I've been having fun with the short form content. Short form is much more. I'm having a blast doing the dad jokes with Jedi, and quite honestly, I'll get like maybe on average 3,000 people viewing a dad joke versus like maybe 500 people watching a vlog, and the dad joke takes like a minute, and the vlog may take hours and hours. I'm like, what's the point? So that answers that question. So that's interesting. MySpace was social enough, just really a fun vibe. Yeah, it was. Facebook quickly became creepy with the curated newsfeed. Twitter Twitter has a curated news feed. YouTube has a curated news feed. Algorithmic platforms optimize for time on site or time in app, not time well spent. We may disagree on other things, Scream Engine, but on this we see eye to eye. You see what I'm saying? If we talk long enough, instead of talking about the things that divide us, inevitably there are going to be many things that we agree upon. Many things. And the one thing that I hope we can agree upon today is recognizing that there is something better. Oh my God, there is just something better. Like, this is just not, that's it. You know, I'm getting, you know, it's real. You know, it's real when I take off my hoodie. You know, it's real. You know, it's getting real in here. It was just when I start feeling myself getting hot and bothered and excited. That's okay. Got to take it off before I just start, getting drenched in sweat. I'm just telling you, in the way that I've used Twitter, Mastodon has supplanted in damn near every way. Now, I think someone had, and it may have been Big Fan. I'm sorry, because Big Fan's been asking a few questions. Big Fan, you're great. Thank you for asking these questions. I believe you asked the question of how do you convince creators to move over when all their audience is on Twitter? Well, let me just break that down. Let me go ahead and bust through that myth for you. You could look. Chris has 100,000 people who follow him on Twitter. Me, I'm talking about myself in the third person. We've come to that point in the video. 100,000 people, potentially. My potential reach is infinite, but because it's controlled, the platform is controlled by the algorithm, that's just potential reach. Just like, Chris, you've got 300,000 subscribers. How come only this many people ever watch your videos? Well, because I did a horrible job at optimizing the channel. I take responsibility. Horrible job. Like, I've always used YouTube differently. That's on me. I still use it, but in terms of trying to make it work, I've tried and tried and tried. It's not just the amount of followers. It's the amount of engagements that ultimately matter. So I might have the promise of getting in front of 100,000 people with the people who follow. And of course, beyond if others accelerate and retweet and all that. That's just potential. On because of the algorithm, right? I posted a Mid-Journey image of the blue canary in the coal mine, right? And I posted that earlier, no tags, nothing, just the image. 2 replies, 1 retweet, 14 likes on Twitter, right? And if you're paying attention to what's happening on Twitter, you kind of know what you kind of know what I'm drawing the conclusion or what I'm trying to say there. On Mastodon, despite having 4,600 followers, I've got I don't know how many a few replies, 3 replies right now, 12 boosts, and 29 favorites. So even with fewer followers, because the timeline, the home timeline, isn't algorithmically driven, there's a greater chance of me getting in front of all of my followers on Mastodon versus trying to get in front of all my followers on an algorithmically controlled platform. And I realize this, in many ways, you are learning how the sausage is made, right? You may be like, well, I'm not a creator. What are you talking about? I'm explaining to you why that's not how you should be measuring the value of Twitter. It isn't. And you certainly shouldn't be viewing Twitter as a promotional engine anymore. Do not. It is your mistake if you view Twitter at this point as a promotional engine. It is your mistake. Your mistake. So even if you have so many more followers, it doesn't matter if they're never going to see it. Mastodon also has right now, because there's fewer people there, there's a higher signal to noise ratio, in the sense that there's much more signal. You have to create value if you expect to get accelerated, if you expect to get followed, if you expect all these things. The onus is on you, right? Creating value, not just creating attention. Different ways of approaching it, right? And just I pulled this up because I didn't want to lose it, Joshua. This is what I was trying to say earlier. It's literally impossible to buy Mastodon. Mastodon is not a company. I believe there's a nonprofit organization out of which it runs, but it's like buying, kind of like how WordPress works under Automatic, right? You can use WordPress.com, but then you could also install your own instance, your own site using WordPress. It works in much the same way. In order to sign up for Mastodon, you need to select a server. Okay, I'm gonna get you. Give me a second. Let me see if I can get you the link here. Subsector. Everyone, please keep chatting. I gotta pull up the my Mastodon invite link. Here we go. Oops. That's not where it was. Give me a second. There we go. All right, here's the invite link. If you want an invitation to the big instance, which is running slow right now, by the way, it's getting crunched. Remember, this is basically all run by volunteers. There's the link, and I'll make sure I put it in the video's description as well. There's the link in chat. I can't pin it, can I? Maybe I can if I go over to YouTube. Thank you for bearing with, by the way. Okay, how do I get to the bit? I'm looking for the permalink for this video, and you can't easily get to it from the back end of YouTube. What the heck? Okay, give me a second, people, please. Thank you. Hey, it would be a lot easier if anybody here, if anybody watching has the permalink for this live video, it'd be great if you posted it in chat so I can jump over to that page and pin the link. There we go. There, the join Mastodon link is now pinned. Tech Nation. Okay, hang on. Let me answer Subsector's question first. In order to sign up, you need to select a server. Yes, because instances is the way that it works. The thing is, you can join an instance and decide this is not for you because you don't like the people, or you don't like the rules, or you don't like how it works, or it's just overwhelming, and you find another one that's out there. With Mastodon, it's easy to set up a new account somewhere else and migrate from your old Mastodon instance to your new one. So it's honestly, it's a speed bump. Look at the join as a speed bump. Okay, so this is why I would send everybody to Mastodon.social, because it's the big one, right? It's the one that people would be most familiar with, right? And of course, this is going to, I'm sure, change over time, but that I feel is a good place to start. At least for now. It's, it's pretty open-ended. The person who runs it is the guy who basically drives Mastodon, the utility, the project. Why change from Twitter? Well, you may have just jumped in here. They're changing their policies on a whim. They've got their own interests, but my belief, this is not conspiratorial, by the way, no tinfoil hat here. Elon has come out and said he's interested in turning Twitter into more of a WeChat, right? He's turning Twitter into a silo. A silo is not social media. Like, it's just, a silo is not social media. It's a silo. You don't own it. So the changes that have come down the pipe just make it that much more clear. Just make it that much more clear. It's running slow because of the policies. Everyone is looking right now at Mastodon. All right, Subsector, thank you. I'll give you a follow. Now, here's the thing you got to understand about Mastodon. There's no way to easily search directly, right? But if Subsector just signed up, I'm looking for her here. I was going to give her a follow. The way you connect with other people is hashtags, right? So if you want, let's say you post a 3D print, a model, and you want other people to see it. Well, the thing that you need to do is tag it, hashtag 3D printing. You used to do this all the time on other social platforms, but never before has that been more important. Never before has that been more critical. My notifications on Mastodon are running, so everything's behind. Like I post something, I'm like, it's just falling behind because the crunch that is happening with Mastodon right now is just it is getting crunched. Mastodon is the Wild West in which nobody owns it. It's great. There you go. What is a silo? A silo would be a walled garden. A walled garden is not social media. Or do we ask the question, is a walled garden social media? Walled garden social media. Question, I just tweeted. I'm asking. Just curious. Didn't know. Didn't know. My feeling is no, silos are not social media. Silos are not social media. There we go. And I think framing the conversation like that allows us to have a much more healthy discussion over what Twitter was or might have been, what it is today, how all of these tools play with one another, how they work, how they go, how they flow. We can choose any one of them for any given reason. But we have been trained to believe that the only way to experience social media is through a centralized platform. I challenge that. I would like to challenge that notion, if only because I remember what blogging was like back in the day. You could own your own blog, you had your own domain, your own place where people go, and your RSS feed would go out, and you could effectively put your words out there, right? You could put your thoughts out there and people would see it. The only algorithm was limited by, how you got accelerated. Well, now social media is seen as synonymous with Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, right? I feel Mastodon is more in the spirit of social media than any one of those other platforms, which is not to take away from what the other platforms do at all. I use Facebook. I use it for them. I love the marketplace. I've gotten some amazing deals. You guys, I posted on TikTok, which you probably didn't see. I got an amazing Star Wars figure haul a few weeks ago. Amazing, like the best ever. Wouldn't have found it without Facebook. But Facebook to me is not social media. It does not feel social to me. Not anymore. And it may have in the beginning, but that's where I feel things have shifted dramatically. So anyway, I wanted to make everyone aware that you can no longer link out to those sites. You should be careful about what you promote on Twitter. You should no longer view Twitter as an opportunity to promote. That Mastodon is viable. It's experiencing growing pains. It has worked very well. For me, it has almost completely replaced the utility of Twitter. I do not plan on shutting down Twitter. I have already changed my patterns of behavior. I have found extreme value in embracing open source throughout my entire life, whether we're talking WordPress, whether we're talking 3D printing, whether we're talking Mastodon, or the Fediverse, if you will. Just kind of a recap here. This change is a big change, because of how creators use Twitter today. Because of the people that you know and that you follow, they use Twitter differently than you. If all you do is consume, if you consume, you probably don't care. Like, this doesn't impact me. I don't care. It doesn't impact you, but it impacts the people that you care about. And if it impacts the people you care about, it does impact you. So just look beyond your sphere, your bubble, to recognize someone else has a different bubble. If you support creators, if you like what creators do for you, then you need to pay attention to what those creators are doing. what they're saying and the rules that they have to play by. You owe it to yourself, if only to understand what they have to go through to do the things that they do for you. And you know, for far too long, it just, people don't talk about that unless you're in it. But I think you, as someone who obviously enjoys the things that creators do, need to understand this impact, this change impacts creators directly. That bio link, that link tree thing, that's a huge deal, dude. That's a huge deal. Huge deal. So thank you for listening. Like I said, I want to do another live video at some point in the future, maybe even more, with other people. I would like to see if I could get time from Quinn Nelson. You know, you might know him, Snazzy Labs, because he actually posted a whole thing of why he's done with Twitter, a whole thing, and he is a Tesla owner. So I want to be able to talk to him about this. I want to bring on Epos Vox, who, if you're not aware of, is an alpha as far as streaming is concerned. Like, he's a technologist. He's big into like retro, like glitch. He loves glitch art and all that stuff. You know, very, very connected, very, very knowledgeable in terms of being a content producer, specifically in the business of teaching people how to be better content producers. Obviously, I would fail every one of his courses if he happened. But he's also made that transition, and I want to be able to have these conversations with them. But anyway, yes, that's true. On Mastodon, here, hang on. Midnight. So this is what Twitter knows. This is the trick, right? How do I find people on Mastodon just signed up? Well, thank you, Christoph Howard. You search by their full username. That's why when Elon, or when Twitter, which is basically Elon now, when they said you can no longer put a username in there, that's why. Because much like email, right? Let's say you use Gmail and I use Yahoo Mail. We can still email each other, right? Mastodon works the same way. Could you imagine what it would be like if you can use Gmail, but you can't ever email someone from Yahoo? Could you imagine? Email would be broken. There would be a silo. Like, you know, that's just, it's asinine. It's asinine. Absolutely asinine. Could you imagine if Gmail said you could no longer email folks on Yahoo? What's another popular email service? Like, it's just, I'm not making this up. All I'm doing is providing color commentary. That's it. That is it. Detroit Borg be another good one. He just followed me the other day on Mastodon. Didn't like it when Google took over Usenet. Yeah, it's a problem. Or Hotmail or iCloud. Any one of them, Kyle. Any one of them. Sorry, I'm seeing comments coming in fast and furious. Y'all got the example. You got the note, right? You know what's going on. You understand what I'm saying here. Social media would be better if you only communicated via emojis. You're probably not wrong there. You ain't lying. You ain't lying there. That's the truth. Oh. So now that it's going to be more difficult to find where other people are and to find them again. And that's the thing that Twitter did today, is they basically shut that down. They cut off the ability to do that, which unfortunately I think is going to backfire. But that's me. So like I said, I'm just beginning this conversation. I'd like to bring other people in as well at some point in the near future. When that happens, I don't know, but I feel this is a conversation worth having. So thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Feel free to use that link. I'll edit the video description to post my... YouTube hasn't turned me off from linking out, so I will. Can't do that anymore on Twitter. Sad. Here we go. I love you. I appreciate you. And at this point, I'm going to leave you to your own devices. May the force be with you always.